Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sydney and I'm a certified personal trainer, and I'm here today to talk about resistance training and what it is, what it's about, why should you do it, and why people don't do it. Here's the thing. Resistance training sounds like a very boring, science-y thing to talk about, but the thing is, about our bodies, everything is science. You know what they say when, here's a good one. You can't trust atoms because they make up everything. Yeah, so everything is science. I apologize. But I wanted to talk about why people, specifically women I've seen, avoid resistance training, and under the misconception that like weightlifting will make you bulky or something like that. And so I really wanted to talk about why, in fact, you should do it, providing that you are a perfectly healthy individual and you are cleared by your doctor to do any sort of exercise. So resistance training is a strength-based training that basically aims to strengthen your muscles and improve muscular endurance. When we go to the gym, we'll see the cardio section with the treadmills, the ellipticals, the rowers, and whatever else, the Stairmasters. And then we see the weight section, where you might see a lot of bigger people, where you might hear a lot of grunting and screaming and slamming. And for that reason alone, many people steer clear of the weight section. However, I'm here today to tell you why you should walk straight towards it. So we've gone over what resistance training is. I wanted to talk about resistance training versus cardio. So a lot of us, when we just go to the gym, we're like, oh man, we should work out, it's been a while, or you have some extra time on your hands. You just head straight for the treadmill. And I say it not because I don't want to call anyone out, but it's just, it's one of the easiest forms of exercise that we can do. If you step outside with your sneakers, you can just be ready for a run. It's just easier. It's very accessible. So a lot of my friends, and again, I am sort of targeting this towards those who identify as female, and just because a lot of people want to achieve a certain shape, a certain physique, they exercise, going into exercise with that kind of mindset that they want to look a certain way, they want to get rid of fat from a certain part of their body, and I'm here to basically just ruin all your hopes and dreams. So the general basis for caloric expenditure, or for calories in general, is what I'm going to talk about first. So the amount of calories you burn every day, also known as the total daily energy expenditure, or your TDEE, is made up of 4 other components. And that is 1, basal metabolic rate, or your resting metabolic rate. So your BMR plus your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your physical activity, and your TEE, or the thermic effect of food. And your TEE is just basically what your body burns from it trying to digest stuff. Your physical activity is exactly what it sounds like. It's how many calories you burn by moving purposefully, in a workout session or something that you do throughout the day. Your NEAT is what you burn, not necessarily just sitting there, but not also as exercise. So if you're a fidgeter like I am, or if you just move your hands a lot when I talk like I do, that might be considered your NEAT. And then your basal metabolic rate, or your resting metabolic rate, is how many calories you burn literally if you were doing nothing all day, if you were just sitting or lying in bed. That's the bare amount of calories you burn just by existing. So that's what your total daily energy expenditure consists of. And so what research has found when comparing just cardio in general, what you think of when I say cardio might be someone running on the treadmill for 30 minutes, or going on a run, or something like that, or even walking, versus weight training, is that generally when you weight train, you actually have the opportunity to burn more calories than you do when you are doing pure cardio. I'm gonna start referring to cardio as cardio bunnies, just because it is a common term and I like bunnies. So when we're talking about cardio bunnies, the general idea is like, let's just say there's someone who wants to lose weight. And the first thing they think of when they're trying to consider how they might achieve that weight is to just go for a run. Go for a run every day and you'll just start to lose weight. Here's the thing though, when you shy away from resistance training, you're also shying away from the excess post-exercise oxygen consumption that you will get from weight training. So here's the thing. What I just said is called epic. And your epic is basically your body, after you exercise, trying to bring yourself back to normal, like that recovery state, trying to get you back to homeostasis, which is like your base, happy, at rest state. Research has shown, and I'll link all the studies in the description below, but research has shown that resistance training, also known as RT, people who engaged in resistance training had a significantly elevated epic versus people who engaged in steady state cardio, like a cardio bunny, if you were going for a run, for example. So what this implies is that post-workout, in addition to all the calories you burned in your workout, after the workout, you continue to burn calories because your body is trying to get back to its resting state. And that process requires more energy for the body in resistance training than it does in cardio. So knowing that, then, you can sort of just say that resistance training technically burns more calories than something a cardio bunny would do. In addition, the same study showed that the BMR, the basal metabolic rate / resting metabolic rate, has been elevated for those who have been resistance training versus those who have been doing cardio. So if your resting metabolic rate is elevated, that means that you simply burn more calories when you are at rest than you did before. So again, that just all goes to say, in my comparison, that resistance training actually will burn more calories than a kind of low intensity, steady state cardio workout. And that's not to say low intensity, I don't mean to say like, oh, it's easy, but it's kind of like steady state, like a jog or something. The other thing I wanted to talk about is that maybe why your body might not be seeing the changes that you want to if you specifically only engage in a cardio program. So the reason for that is that studies have shown that your body actually adapts to specific metabolisms. Let me explain. So let's say you, for some reason, are on a specific number of calories per day. Like that's the number that you allow yourself to eat per day. Let's say you're on this new dieting regimen that you read online and you want to try like 1,200 calories a day, which I really, really hope you're not. But let's just say you were doing that. Our bodies are made to counteract, as I mentioned before, are made to counteract any sort of undue stress that we'll experience. And this kind of diet, a very low 1,200 calorie diet, is a kind of stress because it's basically like putting your body into starvation mode. So let's just say you're on this diet and your body then will start to conserve more energy and conserve like all of the functions it does. You might move less, you're definitely eating it less. You're probably not going to be feeling super energetic or ready to exercise anytime soon. And that is because your body is adapting to this new amount of energy that you're giving it. It should make sense when you think about it. It's almost like when you unplug your laptop, so you change it to power saving mode because you are trying to make it adapt to the less amount of power it's receiving. So your laptop is going to be running, less things in the background. It's going to be lowering its brightness, things like that, to help conserve the battery that it has. So this on and off dieting, also known as yo-yo dieting, can really do a number on your metabolism, as shown by several other scientific studies done on athletes. So a lot of athletes have to maintain a certain body percentage or body weight, wrestling, for example. They're very strict about the number they see on the scale, otherwise their category will change and things like that. So they actually did a study on those athletes who did like cycle through diets called cyclers, and people who just like kept a certain kind of nutrition regimen. And they found that the resting metabolic rate for the cyclers, the people who were on and off, was actually much lower than the group that didn't. So if your resting metabolic rate is a lot lower, that means that you're also just burning less calories with your existence. And for someone whose goal might be to like cut a little bit, look a little slimmer, that wouldn't be really beneficial to your goal. So this yo-yo dieting that a lot of us go through, and that I myself have gone through before, it's not the best for our metabolism because, again, remember, your body adapts to whatever you give it. Another perk of resistance training for those of us who are interested in getting a certain shape with our body, in looking a certain way, maybe you're not trying to be slimmer, but you're trying to be slim thick, as they say. Maybe you just really want that peach butt, and you've seen all these great magazines and you saw Kim Kardashian's 2019 Met Gala look, and that's what you're going for. Here's the thing. Getting on 10 treadmills a day and running will not get you the shape that you want. And I'm only saying this because I'm addressing that some people's goals will be to look a certain way. Resistance training, a certain type of resistance training, is called hypertrophy training. Hypertrophy is just like making your muscles grow bigger. And for a lot of women in particular, they don't want this because they don't want to look bulky. They're afraid of getting those huge shoulders and everything. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay. Because unless you are training specifically to be bulky, like if you are a bodybuilder, maybe, you will not be getting that kind of look. And here's why. Let's just, for example, you want that six-pack to show through, you want your butt to look bigger. If you grow those muscles that make up your six-pack and your glutes, wouldn't it make sense then that you can see them better? Like, just think about it. If you grow those muscles, you can see the shape better. You will have a better shape. It will not make you bulky because over time, and again, everything I'm talking about is going to take a long time, but then again, it is more sustainable for your whole life. You will be slim thick for your whole life. Over time, you will gain that muscle, and then magically, any fat there might slowly be converted, your lean body mass will increase, and your fat percentage will decrease. As studies have shown, this is not just me. When you are basically like doing cardio all the time, non-stop, what you're doing is, in fact, you're working your heart, which is great. You should do that. But you're not necessarily doing anything to grow those muscles underneath. The last thing I wanted to mention for those who are still hesitant about resistance training is about 30% of women will start as they age to kind of lose bone and mineral bone density. And a great way to prevent this and fix this is weight training. External load, which is like putting anything on you, which happens a lot in resistance training. External load will help you increase the density of your bones and strengthen them and the muscles around them to continue to help support you as you do your daily activities, as you walk, as you run, and if you fall, it won't be as devastating. This is especially true for postmenopausal women, and I will link a study in the description below. In addition, I would even recommend resistance training for elderly people or those of you who are like, oh, I can't work out now, I'm too old, regardless of what age you actually are. And here's why. A lot of elderly people, you don't necessarily have to go to the gym if you're not comfortable. If you're like, of course now no one's going to the gym, but something as simple as getting up and sitting back down in a chair is super hard for a lot of elderly people. And I'm sure you know this if you've got your grandma and grandpa around. And this type of functional resistance training is super important for elderly people because that's what keeps them healthy. They don't need people's assistance all the time if they're able to do these everyday tasks like pick things up, put things away, get up, sit down, walk, take the stairs. A lot of resistance training for elderly people would simply be, getting up, sitting down, balancing on one leg. A study actually found that making elderly people balance on one leg improved their lean body composition a lot, and also it would be easier for them to catch themselves when they fall. And so resistance training is super important for, I would say, every group, regardless of age or gender. And finally, I wanted to talk about one more thing to try and convince you that you should resistance train. So there are a lot of things that we do in our everyday lives. As I mentioned, some of them in the kind of elderly people group, like sitting down, picking things up, putting things away. Another example is actually those of you who have heard of Brie Larson. Have you heard of her, maybe? Captain Marvel. Before she had started training for her Captain Marvel role, apparently people said that she couldn't even open a water bottle. And for me, honestly, that was the case too. I had trouble opening water bottles. And when I started, this isn't a water bottle, but ready? Oh yeah, look how easy that was. And anyway, I really, really hope this was able to dispel some of your concerns about weight training or resistance training, especially if you were intimidated by going into the gym and seeing all these people. But I really hope that this will help kickstart your journey into resistance training. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that little notification bell. And please let me know in the comments what you thought of this, whether it was helpful or not. And I will look forward to seeing you soon. Stay safe out there.